if you can find the Kirkpatrick article I sent you, I forget where it was from, but it was about the guy who was talking about these the cover-ups and what he's gone through. Something about, I believe it was him, like he's been attacked, more or less.
Was it the Redstone guy?
I forget.
The scientist?
Maybe, yeah. He was referencing that first article. I forget where I sent it from. But there's something there because, like, I don't know if this is his story, but there's other people who are whistleblowers who have talked about, they've testified this. They've been attacked by the government for releasing information. And for those who are extra skeptical, such as myself, that could just help them, that could be part of their story. It could help them appear more credible. Always keep that in mind. I'm skeptical of everything, but I'm always skeptical of my skepticism. Welcome to my paranoid brain. But I think, look at these stories. You kind of have to be. But there's people who then also said they've been attacked, physically harmed by quote unquote UFOs, whatever that might be. A few weeks ago, we talked about the Russian soldier's story that was declassified in some of these papers over here, where they claimed a UFO turned a bunch of Russian soldiers to stone. Now, I don't know. And there's also been scientists, whistleblowers who've talked to, I believe it was Tucker Carlson, saying they've talked to people who've been like seriously damaged by some sort of UFO. So this is about Sean Kirkpatrick. He was referenced in a Wall Street Journal article that we read. And he's faced threats for his work and a new report concluding no evidence UAPs represented extraterrestrial tech has sent ufology into a tailspin. Great word to use. Sean Kirkpatrick doesn't seem too thrilled to be chatting with me about UFOs, the article says. Since taking over the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, in 2022, government speak for UFO hunting, Kirkpatrick has received violent threats, social media smear campaigns, and even had to call the FBI after a UFO fanatic showed up at his home. Don't do that. Don't do that. Or maybe it was an alien. I don't know. Dressed as a fanatic. I've seen Men in Black. I've had people threaten my wife and daughter and try to break into our online accounts far more than I have ever had as the deputy director of the intelligence of U.S. Strategic Command, Kirkpatrick says. I didn't even have China and Russia trying to get on me as much as these people are. And, you know, I'm not so surprised because there is a lot of fanaticism around it and there's a lot of mystery and there's a lot of lies. And this is something that was, like I said, super taboo for a very long time. Now the government's been kind of like engineering this new way of doing it with the rebrand into UAP, with the hearings. We've had Congress people talking about interdimensional beings, talking about, you know, Lockheed Martin supposedly receiving alien tech. We've heard them talk about alien bodies being taken. We talked about that last week a little bit. One of the callers even had I believe it was a grandfather who was at the Flatlands monster retrieval site, let's say, or at least the crash site. Something is happening. And I think it's a little bit of both of these things we can't explain that are not from this dimension, and Lockheed Martin and others doing whatever they're doing. I've had people, okay, I read that. So after 18 months in the job, Kirkpatrick called it quits last December. Then last week, AARO published the first part of a report he had worked on that concluded there was no evidence that any U.S. government investigation, academic sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed that any sighting of a UAP represented extraterrestrial technology. Guys, it's just hilarious. One of my favorite things is from the New York Times, maybe 2015, 2014, whole big report about it. They said, I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was something along the lines of, our government has in their possession a vehicle not made of this earth. What does that mean? No one really cared, maybe because they saw it in the New York Times and they're like, well, this is a place that always lies. And that, now that I'm thinking about it, is part of this campaign, perhaps, that they were doing, that the Pentagon's been doing. So I'm not really surprised. But something like that in the UFO community like took off and created a lot of this buzz that we're now seeing in the committees. So after all, it was only in July last year that the former intelligence officer, David Grush, told a packed congressional hearing that for decades, the U.S. government had been hoarding crashed alien spaceships and attempting to reverse engineer them. True believers thought we were getting closer than ever to full disclosure. It was only a matter of time until the government would wheel out the flying saucers onto the White House lawn. I just feel like they've been lying to us about a lot of this stuff. You know, again, something we can't explain that is not human is happening. I really do believe that. I think it's demons. You know, you can call it extraterrestrials, whatever you want to talk, however you want to interpret it. Something's happening. But the fact that it's so hush-hush and these people go behind closed doors and they still can't talk about it, it tells me, at least, that this is national security. If I was listening, I'm putting that in quotes because national security is also just totally a bogus phrase. It's never national security. It's security for them, not for us. They're building things to destroy all of us. You know, who knows what they've made? They've probably got ray guns in their underground bunkers right now that look like the Martian.
You think they've gotten to the? You think they've gotten to the cloning phase of these supposed aliens?
Decades ago, decades ago.
Like I know we got masks and costumes. You know,
I for sure.
They're using that lady's. What was that lady's name with the replicating cells?
Jonna Mendez. Yeah, and she gets mad if you don't say her name right. It's Jonna because her.
No. The lady from like the 20s or the 40s that had the cell that was just.
Oh, Henrietta Lacks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure, dude. They've been experimenting on us biologically forever. I guarantee they've got something that they can't explain. I don't know what it is. You know, the people have a certain idea of what an alien is or where that comes from. There's many different interpretations, interdimensional from another planet, ancient breakaway civilization that's human, that left Earth after some sort of like catastrophe that Graham Hancock might talk about. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a flawed little human being with a tiny brain on the internet.
Here.
Like all of us. But so this is the phrase, this is the word they use. Further down in this article, it says, crucially, Grush said he hadn't seen the spaceships and biologics. So that's the word. I'm sure you've all heard it with his own eyes. Of course, right? Someone in the intelligence community told him the story. So it's a lot of this stuff is like, there's a middleman telling them. And that middleman might have been sent by the Pentagon to cover up Lockheed Martin